Over the past few weeks, it has finally been confirmed that underground tunnels in Cusco are real. However, it does appear that there has been a major cover-up of these tunnels over the years, and one can only question why. What were they hiding? Was there a fear of something in there? Were they taking something from there? What is the truth? No one really knows, but it does appear that they have been known about for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more. The complexity of these tunnels underneath the city of Cusco isn't to be overlooked. They connect a lot of major places in Cusco. I have found that these tunnels have been known about for hundreds of years. Garcilaso de la Vega is one of many early accounts from the 15th to the 16th century speaking of tunnels underneath the city of Cusco. In fact, his mother was an Inca, and his father was a Spanish conquistador. He talks about playing in these tunnels as a child, but not only this, but he talks about how the bravest of Inca people were afraid to enter the tunnels for multiple reasons. He said that they would have a rope tied around them, this would be attached to a tree, and they would only go as far as the sun would reach. Due to the fact that he entered these tunnels multiple times as a child, he is one of few people from this time that gives us the most intimate detail. He describes the tunnel was long and connected to many places throughout Peru. Now, I first heard of this discovery from Dedunking's YouTube video. I believe he's a great YouTuber. Honestly, he's one of my favourites. But not only this, but all it took was a quick YouTube search, and there were videos of people near these tunnels trying to enter these tunnels. There's even an indigenous person himself talking about these tunnels, why these tunnels were built, what they were used for, and then ultimately what they were used for after the Spanish conquistadors ransacked the entire area they were living. But again, one has to question why it was hidden for so long. As per usual, archaeologists immediately said that the tunnels were entirely built by the Inca. However, alternate historians have a different point of view. As previously mentioned, these tunnels have been spoken about outside of academia and Peru itself for over 100 years. In fact, the tunnels were closed off in the 1920s, which goes to show that there has been a cover-up of these tunnels for over 100 years. So the question is, why? Now, the tunnels are known as the Chincana. They stretch approximately 1.1 miles or 1,750 meters. As mentioned before, they connect many major Inca sites, including the Temple of the Sun, the Coricancha, and the Fortress of Sacsayhuamán. But the dimensions of the tunnels do vary. Their width ranges from about 1 to 2.6 meters, or roughly 3 to 8.5 foot. The height is around 1.6 meters, which is about 5.2 feet, making them quite narrow and low in some areas. But at their deepest point, the tunnels extend to around 2.5 meters, which is about 8 foot, beneath the surface. As you could imagine, many myths and many legends surround what would happen if people went into the tunnels. But in all honesty, before we get into them, I think this could just be a way of the Inca protecting what they had hidden in there, if they had anything in there whatsoever. Legend speaks how people who tried to explore them would die in agonizing pain if they ever tried to explore again. Again, this could just be a way of protecting what was hiding in there, but there are stories of golden treasures being hidden in there, possibly from Spanish conquistadors or anyone else for that matter who decided that they just wanted to have a little look in the tunnels. But let's be real, after the Spanish conquistadors ransacked and looted the entire complex, you would probably want to hide your most valuable items. Cusco experienced significant growth after the city of Tiwanaku near Lake Titicaca was abandoned, and it reached its peak in around 1438. The Coricancha Temple, the city's largest and most opulent structure, was said to be dazzling inside. So when the Spaniards captured Cusco in 1533, they plundered the temple, and they destroyed everything inside by fire. But on its foundations, they built the Santo Domingo Church, which later became a monastery for the Dominican order. But despite this, legends still speak of hidden treasure rooms, and to this day, many in Cusco speculate about where the gold might have gone. According to legend, the Incas managed to save and conceal the Coricancha treasure, when the city was conquered nearly 5 centuries ago. The most sacred and valuable pieces of Inca gold were said to have been hidden underground in the chambers, accessible through the secret tunnels. This mysterious network of tunnels has been mentioned by numerous chroniclers, including Alexander von Humboldt. Again, alternate history tells us of lots of places in Peru that are megalithic, and some of the sites which have multi-ton stones, such as Sacsayhuamán and Machu Picchu, weren't actually built by the Incas themselves. And there are stories of how the Incas found these settlements rather than build them themselves. Again, I would like to stress out, this is a view of alternate history, and my viewpoint lies somewhere in the middle. Not all of alternate history. I don't really believe in aliens or giants or anything like that, but I do believe there could have been a lost civilization. Anyhow, if you do believe this theory, it could be said that the tunnels underneath are also a reason as to why they didn't go in them, as it could be that they didn't make them, so they didn't know what was in there, and they could have been afraid of what was in there, plus they could have hidden their treasures in there. So they say that someone would die an agonizing death if they went in there, and this was one way to make sure that their treasures didn't get stolen by future colonizers and conquistadors alike. There is a YouTube video, as I mentioned, that does appear to show an indigenous man of the area, and he explains how the tunnels connect to multiple sites, including Sacsayhuamán and Machu Picchu, and they also lead to Lake Titicaca. He explains that when the Inca leader Atahualpa was captured by the Spanish conquistadors, that all the treasures were ordered to be taken from Cusco to Cajamarca. But then after Atahualpa died, it was then that they decided to use the tunnels to hide the treasures. And he also goes on to explain how in the 1800s, so 200 years after De la Vega had entered the tunnels, 2 boys from the University of Salamanca got lost in there for months, and eventually they found an exit at Sacsayhuamán. So the student who found the exit unfortunately died sometime later, but before he died, he did leave a gift, an actual treasure from what they found in there. And that treasure appears to be a golden cone. Now this is just one example. Now we have to think what other examples could have been hidden in there. What other examples have been looted over the years? What's been sold? What's been bought? And there won't be any traces of these, as archaeologists denied the existence of this place for 100 years. They denied that these tunnels existed. Legends tell of explorers entering the tunnels at Sacsayhuamán, never to return. One man reportedly surfaced near the Sun Temple with 2 gold bars, but died shortly after, his mind shattered by days of wandering in darkness, as recounted by William Montgomery McGovern's Jungle Paths and Inca Ruins. For a good 100 plus years after this, multiple people tried to explore these tunnels. This is why in the 1920s the Cusco government and the army decided to use dynamite to blow up the main entrance that explorers were using to enter the tunnels. I mean, if this isn't proof of a massive cover-up of these tunnels, then I don't know what is. As I mentioned before, you can find videos on YouTube of people exploring them. But not only did they venomously deny it and shut people down who dared to say that they had found these tunnels, there was even a study done using ground-penetrating radar, I believe it was around 2005, of which you can still see the images today, as you can see right now. When it comes to people being shut down for talking about these tunnels, I don't think anyone has ever been shut down as much as Anselm P. Rambler. He assisted the Peruvian government in excavating the Temple of the Sun. He himself is an alternate history theorist who believes in the long-lost civilization argument. I personally am excited to see the news of these tunnels has finally come to light. Not only has it vindicated people such as Anselm himself, but it also allows the average person to gain a keen interest in this side of archaeology. But I can't help but feel that this discovery has been tainted by lies, cover-ups, deception over the past 100 years. Anyone who has dared to utter any mention of the tunnels being underneath Cusco has been shut down. But not only in Peru, but also people such as Danny Hillman, who led a team to investigate a tunnel system underneath Gunung Padang. It seems that literal evidence of tunnels isn't, or should I say wasn't, enough for the mainstream to accept that there are tunnels. And it begs the question, as I mentioned before, as to why. Did they really believe the myths of people dying in agony in the tunnels? Was there something in there that they wanted? Was there something in there they were trying to protect? Whether it was for their own good or for the good of the indigenous people? Or could it just be an egotistical problem of the mainstream itself? Anyhow, this is fascinating to see, and it opens the enigma even further as to how they could carve, move such heavy stone, and then how they could build, sustain, and map such complex underground tunnel systems. And of course, this further pushes the question, was it the Inca? Or was it the lost civilization that many people have theorized and talk about to this day? Anyway guys, thank you for watching. I'm sure this isn't the final piece of history that is being covered up, and over time we will find out about more history that has been hidden from us. But please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, don't forget to subscribe.